This week, we take a look at Overwatch, something quite different to what we've come to expect from Blizzard. Jonny brings us up to speed with Master of Orion, which takes strategy to the stars in this revamp of a 90s classic. And Mike wants the world to know a little bit more about smallish Australian marsupials, as he finds a copy of Crash Bandicoot 2 in his Videogame Shoebox. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week a lot of little things happened all over the place. First up, remember how we told you about the super duper difficult level of Doom that even the team at id Software couldn't beat? Well, someone has. While he may have played it somewhat safe, YouTuber Zero Master managed to avoid dying and has clocked the game in just under 5 hours, playing from start to finish on Ultra Nightmare. And from one extreme to the other, and YouTuber Draku has played the game on the easiest difficulty, making it from start to finish in 89 minutes and 56.42 seconds. It's not 100% run, he doesn't collect all of the game's secrets, and he does use a few game glitches to help his cause, but hey, all's fair in speedrunning, right? To Dark Souls, and we are happy to announce that the Dark Souls board game has been well and truly funded on Kickstarter with more than £3.7 million in pledges, well exceeding the somewhat humble initial goal of just $50,000. There are a bucket load of stretch goals that have been added to the campaign, with the latest, Horus the Hushed, unlocked at the 3.6 million mark. If you'd still like to throw some money at the campaign, you can make a late pledge. The game itself is expected to ship in April 2017. In other news, and Call of Duty Black Ops is now backward compatible on Xbox One, something Microsoft seems pretty chuffed about. This was one of the most requested titles since the program launched mid last year, so it's great to see the publisher listening to the community. To recap, if you have a copy of Black Ops on Xbox 360, it is now fully playable on your new console without any extra cost. And yes, you can keep your save games. Another thing that was seemingly inevitable, EA has signed on to publish the next game from Coldwood Interactive, and yes, it's a sequel to Unravel. At this stage, that's all we know about the game. We don't even know if Jonny will be coming back, but we think there will probably be some more details for this one revealed at E3 next month. And moving on, Nintendo would like to point out that Super Mario Maker is ridiculously popular, in case you didn't know. The game has sold more than 3.5 million units worldwide, which is impressive enough for a platform exclusive, but doubly so thanks to the small user base of the Wii U. We have no idea how many worlds have been created using the game, but with 7.2 million levels shared online, it suggests that each copy made, on average, at least a couple. And from one popular game to another, and I'm sorry to say that if you haven't already gotten yourself a copy of Minecraft, the price has just gone up. Apparently it's to do with bringing things back in line with the American dollar, which explains why the US price hasn't changed, but plenty of others around the world have jumped quite a bit. New Zealanders will now pay $40 instead of $32. Aussies pay $35 instead of $25, and Canadians fork out $35 instead of $28. That said, the UK, Hong Kong and Taiwanese prices don't change, so it really does vary by region. Just in case you thought Scott Cawthon was serious when he said no more Five Nights at Freddy's, joke's on you. The next game has already been revealed. Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location is a spin-off game that fits in alongside the original Quartet, novel, RPG and movie, and it's headed our way in the third quarter of this year. If it was anyone else, we would believe the fall release window for a horror game means a Halloween tie-in, but looking at Cawthon's track record, we reckon you'll be playing this one by August. And now, on to music news. Electronic music icon Giorgio Moroder's killer soundtrack for Disney's recent Tron Run R is being released as a standalone recording. We had been teased with a potential Skrillex collaboration, but unfortunately that one didn't eventuate. Instead, we get an amazing album featuring not only Moroder and co-composer Rainey Shockney, but also remixes from artists like Darkstyle, Orteka and Plaid. And now, finally, movie news. Nintendo has signalled that it would like to get back onto the silver screen with plans to have a new movie out within the next 3 years. That said, there's nothing to announce just yet, and that timeframe may well be wishful thinking, but with the studio apparently planning to work on things in-house, it's not completely unbelievable. Meanwhile, Assassin's Creed is edging closer to a release, with executive producer Pat Crowley confirming that, despite the look of the trailer and the tradition of the games, just 35% of the upcoming film will be set amid the streets of 15th century Spain. The rest, a significant majority, will be in modern times, which is apparently one of the sacrifices that needed to be made to bring the game effectively to the big screen. But one thing that hasn't changed between mediums is the concept of pre-order bonuses. Believe it or not, Ubisoft has partnered with a ticket retailer to offer a bunch of Assassin's Creed goodies to cinema-goers, including digital copies of the script, t-shirts, watches, action figures, a hidden blade, and a hoodie. If you want to show off just how big a fan you are, you can hand over $1,200, which will get you a movie ticket, a digital copy of the script, behind-the-scenes extras, and a replica Spanish crossbow. You didn't really expect anything less from Ubisoft, did you? On a similar topic, if you buy a ticket to the Warcraft movie in certain cinemas, you will also be given a key for World of Warcraft. It almost seems humble by comparison. In Australia and New Zealand, you want to go to Hoyts, by the way. And here is another look at what's coming up when Warcraft The Beginning hits cinemas, starting May 30th in the UK, June 10th in the US, and June 16th in Australia.
Don't try and take him on with brute force. They're stronger. Be smarter.
For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come. Let's deal with the elephant in the room, or should we say the mech gorilla. Blizzard's Overwatch is going to be compared to Valve's Team Fortress 2. And why not? It's two teams of quirky individuals fighting to the death over some random patch of ground until an arbitrary condition is satisfied. But Blizzard has not created a clone. Instead, the studio's aimed for the narrow middle ground where the game is familiar enough to fans, so the base concepts are still easily understood by veterans and newcomers alike, but still something fresh and new. And from what we've seen so far, looks like they've nailed it.
Attackers incoming. Prepare your defenses.
Here, guys. Get behind!
Locked and loaded.
Prepare to attack. 3, 2, 1. Capture the objective.
A little backstory. Overwatch is an organisation established to deal with threats to world safety because their traditional security forces just weren't cutting it. But as you might expect when you throw a bunch of powerful individuals into a group together, they did kinda trash the place while fighting off the bad guys, so despite all the good they might have done, Overwatch was disbanded. Fast forward a little to the present day, and members of the team are getting back together. But that doesn't really matter because there isn't really any campaign to Overwatch, and even if there was, it wouldn't really explain why some former members of Overwatch are teaming up to fight against other former members of Overwatch, and why former enemies of the former group are also on the new team. Don't think about it too much, alright? What you should be thinking about is the gameplay. Overwatch is actually pretty solid as a shooter, which is saying something when you consider that Blizzard has never actually shipped a first-person shooter. The guns, from machine guns to shotguns to sniper rifles, are all good at hitting things when you aim properly and good at missing if you don't. There are probably things for high-level competitive players to nitpick about, but in terms of general play, Overwatch is very satisfying. In a world where customization is thrown into just about everything, Overwatch doesn't really do much. You can pick different outfits, voice lines, and victory poses, but your weapons are pre-chosen for you. That said, with so many different characters, 21 in fact, you are sure to find something that suits you straight out of the box. Each of those characters has a different playstyle, their own specific abilities and weapons, but there's a little functionality overlap, with each one fitting into one of 4 groups: offense, defense, tank, or support. Reinhardt and Winston both have shields, for example, but Reinhardt's energy shield covers a frontal arc that he can move around, adjusting the angle as he pleases. Winston's is more like a bubble, which is simply placed once on the ground. Both shields can be fired through by allies from the inner side, while enemy shots will be stopped dead from the outside, at least while the shield holds out. Two of the healers also work in different ways. Mercy, with her mechanical angel wings, has a staff that can heal an individual teammate. Lucio can't heal anyone directly, but he does have an aura around himself, formed from his electronic dance music, that can either heal or increase the speed of all nearby allies. Even the snipers are different. Widowmaker has a grappling hook to get up to those high perches, while Hanzo the archer must run up the wall to get there. And it's this sort of different approach, similar outcome thing that plays a big part in Overwatch and makes it a lot of fun. In other games, if you want to be a healer, you're stuck with one character build. Here, you've got 4. So if you find yourself the healer by default, but find healing a single player at a time a little bit dull, you are still given options. That said, one area the game does lack in a bit is the variety of game modes available. We are big fans of the hybrid capture the point and then escort the payload mode that Blizzard has implemented, but can't help but wonder where the classic capture the flag has gone.
Suiting up. Boosters engaged. Let's fight for a better world. Freeze! Don't move!
With no ties to existing franchises and an entirely new style of gameplay for the publisher, Overwatch is a surprising new direction for Blizzard. Happily, it's one that's worked. The studio has brought the trademark Blizzard level of perfectionism to the table, and it's served them well yet again. Sure, it is being released into a market that already has a few quirky, colourful team-based shooters, but Overwatch is an absolute blast to play. We reckon this one's got the goods.
Master of Orion. Even the name carries a certain badass gravitas. One of the granddaddies of the strategy 4X genre, Master of Orion brought space conquest and diplomacy to MS-DOS and macOS back in 1993, and it received some serious critical acclaim. After a few sequels, the stars of Orion started to fade, and then by the early 2000s, Orion went dark. That is until Wargaming acquired the rights to Orion in 2013 from a folding Atari, and the rest, well, we're living that right now, with Orion currently in Steam Early Access, looking and playing better than ever. But why have all the IPs available in the Atari bankruptcy feeding frenzy did Wargaming go after Orion? We'll let the CEO of Wargaming tell you himself.
This is where stars literally came together. So as a kid, obviously I played all the games from the late 80s and all the way through 90s. My favorite was Civilization, and my second favorite was Master of Orion. I like strategy games, and the name of the company, Wargaming, kind of hints at that. And then for some reason, after Master of Orion 2 and then 3, the brand disappeared. Atari would have the license and would not do anything with that. And a couple of years ago, it was fire sale of whatever their assets. So one of the best negotiators from our side went there, participated in this, mafia guy secretly buying masterpiece kind of auction, and we got it. It was very expensive.
But this passion project mentality isn't isolated only to Victor and his nostalgia from his childhood. The studio developing the game, NGD Studios, approached Wargaming on hearing the acquisition news with a build of the game they developed out of an equal love for the original. If that wasn't enough, members of the original creative team from Microprose, the original developers, have also returned as advisors because of, you guessed it, the love for the original. What all this adds up to is a team focused on bringing back a legacy, and bringing it back right. Just listen to Jacob Buchler, Wargaming's Director of Global Operations, tell me why he was drawn to the project.
There's just something about being able to bring back an IP like this, and it was a dream come true to be able to work on Mortal Kombat, where I was shoving quarters in the machine as a kid, and they talk about Master of Orion, and it's like, no way. Are you like, yeah, sign me up. I'm in. Let's do this.
Orion's return isn't as simple as putting a HD skin on a game from the mid-90s though. Many changes have taken place, including completely new visuals and mechanics, all whilst maintaining the core of what made the original truly great.
The spirit, this ecosystem of 4X empire building in space strategy is there. On top of that, we'll put AAA production values starting from 3D animations, GNN, those voiceovers we had.
Well, this last Early Access 3, we added a couple new races and another victory condition, and we added the Minor Civilizations feature as well. So, look, every build we've done, there's been new things to test out. And right now, Early Access 3 takes us to Feature Complete, which is a really great place for us to start implementing user feedback. And so the next build for us is all about AI and balance and UX polish.
Easily one of the most awesome updates is a simple but effective one, voiceovers. All the races in Orion's galaxy have now been given voices by the juggernauts of sci-fi genre, including Mark Hamill, Michael Dorn, and most recently, Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund.
That was a really cool thing that Chris Keeling worked on, who's the director for R&D. And so he's been in the industry for a long time. He has a ton of contacts. And he's got one of the better agents in town that was able to find and source a bunch of really cool talent from all sorts of different sci-fi elements, Alan Tudyk from Firefly and John Delancey from Star Trek. I mean, it's a really long list of really cool names, and they were all really excited to help. They've all been wonderful to work with.
Even before its release on Steam Early Access, Orion had all the attributes of a truly communal work, with development drawing expertise and know-how from multiple sources from many generations. The early beta access, though, is anything but a quick cash grab, with Wargaming seriously taking on board the feedback it receives from the community.
It's super important. I think it's more important now than ever. We engage the community to help us finish this game, right? The most important thing for us is to bring this IP back to be a legendary product that it deserves to be. And we can't do that without engaging the community. So our early adopters have been phenomenal. They've provided a ton of feedback. We've been busy trying to finish the features and get the game done and implement their feedback. And now we're actually getting to the phase where we're polishing the product and we're starting to tune and we're starting to look towards shipping this thing. So, I think in general terms, it's always great to get feedback, and that's why you do early access. You're going to have a bad time if you go early access and say, hey, we want all your feedback, and then you don't do anything with it. That's not going to work out so good, and it's bitten people before. We're not going to make that mistake. We're going to spend the time it's going to take to get this done in a truly legendary fashion.
Master of Orion is truly shaping up to be the return of a legacy title, as well as being the Space 4X I, as well as many others, have been craving for years. But what does Wargaming hope for the return of Master of Orion?
It's about laying a foundation with a really great product, right? You get one chance to bring back an IP like this. You can't afford to blow it. This is not a place where you make mistakes. This is a place where you take time. This is a place where you listen to your feedback and you stick to your guns and you make the best possible game that you can. And so for us, we can do that and we can look to the future. But our eyes are on the prize, right? We have to be able to deliver on this product.
The humble bandicoot. Bandicoots consist of a group of around 20 species of small to medium-sized terrestrial marsupial omnivores that are endemic to the Australia-New Guinea region. The bandicoot is a member of the order Peramelemorphia, and the word bandicoot is often used informally to refer to any creature in that category, such as the bilby. The word is adopted from a Telugu language word, pandikoku. They love nothing more than to smash open wooden crates and hoard as much fruit as they can, whilst also collecting rare crystals and riding polar bears. Crash Bandicoot, the best of all the bandicoots. While he may have spent the last 6 years in video game purgatory, this jean-wearing, orange-furred adventurer still lives on in the hearts and minds of fans of the original PlayStation classics. Welcome to the Videogame Shoebox. We were originally introduced to Crash in 1996 in his first self-titled adventure on the original PlayStation. The series went on to create a total of 18 games and sell a total of 50 million units across all the titles. It's a series mostly consisting of 3D platformers and the occasional fun kart racer, spanning the first 3 generations of PlayStation as well as all other consoles. The best games in this series, in my opinion, were those that were created by Naughty Dog Studios, more famous nowadays for the Uncharted series and The Last of Us. Naughty Dog developed 3 Crash Bandicoot platformers and a surprisingly awesome kart racer in Crash Team Racing on the PS1 before departing from the series. For now at least, I'm going to concentrate on my favourite of those platformers, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. The evil Dr. Neo Cortex has been defeated, his space station destroyed by Crash at the end of the first game. Conveniently enough, however, as Cortex Crash lands into a dark cave, he immediately finds a crystal, a new power source to fuel another go at world domination, and proceeds to kidnap our Bandicoot buddy and trick him into collecting them for him, under the guise of saving the world. Crash has never been known as a smart Bandicoot. His skills mostly consist of breaking stuff. To progress through the 25 levels, you will need to run, slide, spin, jump, and belly flop your way to first the crystal and finally the exit. The task of collecting the 25 crystals will probably only take you about 4 hours, but the challenge comes from not only the later levels, but also collecting the gems. Each level has 1 or 2 gems to collect, one for breaking every box and one for reaching a secret area or completing the level in a certain amount of time. Some challenges can't even be attempted until you find the corresponding gem in another level, which just leaves a coloured wireframe of a platform that won't be real until you find it. This leads to plenty of replayability and a great yet achievable challenge for those who love to see that 100% before they put their controller down. The stages are themed from jungle environments to electric eel-inhabited sewers, Arctic glaciers, Aztec ruins and more. Each has their own challenges, whether that be ice sections, water areas that let you use a super-powered surfboard thing, or stages where you run away from a giant boulder Indiana Jones style. There's even a couple where you get to ride a baby polar bear. That's awesome! His daddy doesn't like it, but he's dispatched easily enough. Now you're mine to do with what I please. What I please. Speaking of challenges, our Bandicoot buddy is not very survivable. It only takes a single mistimed or badly aimed jump or spin attack to make Crash buy the farm. You'll probably find this happening to yourself as well, but luckily the death animations have a great charm and comedy to them, so you don't feel too bad about failing. This idea would later be used in Naughty Dog's Jak and Daxter series to great effect.
I'll say something really teary at the funeral, like, "How am I gonna get Shane back now?"
Crash is not alone on this adventure, as Aku Aku, the spirit of an ancient witch doctor trapped in a floating wooden mask, helps Crash on his missions to stop Cortex by scattering copies of himself throughout the levels in a bid to help the unlikely hero. Whenever Crash has an Aku Aku mask, he will be shielded from one attack, whether that's an enemy or an environmental hazard like electricity. Collect 3 masks and you'll have temporary invincibility from all dangers, but it still can't protect you from falling down holes. Bummer. Still, everyone remembers the sound effect when you collect an Aku Aku mask. What have I got? Whenever I prepare for these features, there's always a danger that I might be suffering from gamer hindsight. Any one of us can go back to our game from our early years and realize that it simply wasn't all that good. Our child mind simply making the best out of an ill-conceived use of pocket money. It makes me all the more happier then when I go back to a game that I once cherished and find that it still holds up. The Naughty Dog Crash Bandicoot series is a brilliant set of games, and I encourage you to try them on the cheap via the PSN store on the PS3, Vita, or Vita TV. Maybe you've got a copy in your own Videogame Shoebox. Don't forget that all models of the PS3 can actually play all official PS1 discs that you might have kicking around still. Why not take a little gaming regression session yourself? That's it for this installment though. Join me next time when I'll be dusting off some more games from yesteryear. Be sure to let me know in the comments or on Twitter any games you'd like to see on here. I've been Mike Nottridge, and I will see you next time. What's in your video game shoebox?
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, 2 very different reviews. We're off to the cinema to check out the 3D acid trip that is Alice Through the Looking Glass, while Mike spent some quality time with his PS4 and a copy of Uncharted 4. In the meantime, you can catch us at playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.